Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about how to prioritize your business ideas. And I'm going to give you tips on how to review all your business ideas and kind of decide which one you should work on first. If you're a new entrepreneur, one of the challenges that some of you face is that you have a lot of business ideas that are running through your head, and you're not really sure which one you should start first. Which business should you start? And or which idea should you work on first? And there are two reasons for that. Because some of you have anxiety over picking one idea over the other, or you're confused about what to do. And the anxiety comes from the fact that you know or feel that all the options are good, all the business ideas have potential. So if you pick one, then later if somebody does the other one and maybe is successful with it, you would have missed an opportunity. And the confusion comes from the fact that you have a strong feeling that all the ideas you have potential to be big, and so you're tempted to want to do it all. But let me break it to you. If you are able to take one idea and start it and turn it into a very successful business, that is a huge win. Because the odds against you as a would-be entrepreneur, or the odds against startups or small businesses, is very tough. So, the idea that you should feel obligated to want to go out there and do everything is actually not a smart thing to do when you start initially, because getting one idea alone to finish is a tough enough job, let alone trying to take on so many ideas. So my advice to you is that if you're just starting, if you're a new entrepreneur, you should focus on picking one idea. And that's because you need that focus, that energy, and that passion to be channeled into one idea to be able to turn it into a successful business. And once you get that hang of it, once you get that rhythm, once you know yourself as an entrepreneur, and you know your risk tolerance, and you've learned all the lessons along the way, then you can begin to juggle a couple of things at the same time. But when you're starting, I would advise you to pick one. So here are my tips to help you pick that one business idea from all the ideas that you have. So before I go into the 5 tips that I have, I'm assuming that you've done your homework. Then homework, I mean that you've done your customer discovery, you know your target market, you know how you're going to deliver your services to the customers, you know who the competitors are. You've pretty much done your homework to know what the landscape is like. So now you're trying to pick between which one, among all these great ideas, which one should I pick? So the first tip I will give you is about customer base. You are pretty much going to do a chart of all the ideas and rank them based on what I'm about to talk about. So the first one is you look at customer base for each of the ideas you have. What does the customer base look like? Who are you trying to sell to? How easily accessible are they? And how are you going to deliver your product to them? So if you have, a couple of ideas, and one requires that you set up a physical store, and one requires that you set up an online store, or one requires that you hire salespeople, and you have to decide how are you going to get the product to the customers. And that's very important, because as you review all the other tips, this is one critical component that will guide you to decide, which one is the path of least resistance, because you want to get to market quickly and be able to get market share. So the second tip is about market size. How big is the market opportunity? You're going into business to make money, and you want to address a problem that is large enough to be worth your time. So what is the addressable market, which is the people that you've identified to be your real customer base that you want to target? Sometimes we all try to go for the big market. Oh, I'm developing a product for laptops, so all laptops are my market. No, you have to decide which of the laptops are you focusing on. Is it Mac? Is it PC? Is it the high-end laptops? Is it the small-end laptops? Because you need to focus. So your addressable market is when you've narrowed it down to the particular customer base that you're really, really targeting to sell to, the niche that you're trying to target. So you have to look at that for all the ideas and see what is the market opportunity? How big is this market? Is it even worth your time? And then the third tip is about competitors. Who are the competitors in the space? And what is the barrier to entry? And you have to see, the current players that are there. What are they doing well? What are they not doing well? What do you bring to the table? Your product or service, how different is it from what the competitors are doing? And you have to ask yourself this question: why should customers buy from you rather than the competition? Or in other words, why should they abandon the competition and come and buy from you? So you have to have something that you're bringing to the table that differentiates you from the from the competition, and makes your product or service attractive, that people will want to leave what they're using now and come and use yours or buy yours. Or you are so new into the market that you're going to attract new customers in droves. So that's very important. And you also have to look at the barrier to entry. How easy it is to enter this market. If it's very easy to enter, that's also a double-edged sword, because if it's easy to enter, then a lot of people can also enter after you enter. So, you have to really weigh that and decide, sometimes the work that you are going to do, to come to market may be a barrier in itself for other people who come in later. So you have to factor all that into consideration to make an informed decision about how tough the competition is, how successful you're going to be if you enter the space, and what are you going to do differently to make sure that your product provides value, better value to the customer. So that is tip number 3. Number 4 is resources. Where are you going to get the resources from, and how much resources do you need? How much money? How much talent? What's the range of resources that you're going to need to bring this product to market? And when it comes to resources, the number 1 is about money. How much money is it going to take to launch each of these ideas? And you have to weigh that and see. And the most important question is, how soon are you going to be able to gather that money to launch? So if you have one idea that, everything else checks out good and takes 3 months, you can gather that money in 3 months, versus another idea that's going to take you a year or 2 to be able to get the startup cost to be able to start, then it's better to go with the one that you can do very quickly. Because the point here is that you want to get to market with something very quickly. You want to get your feet wet, because you're going to learn a lot. And if you're a lifetime entrepreneur, if you're an entrepreneur in heart, you're going to be doing business your whole life. So your first idea is not the only thing you're going to do. Some of us are going to do 4, 5, 6, 10 ideas in our lifetime. So don't get stuck on trying to go big the first time if there's a lot of pieces that you don't have. Stick with the one that has a good size market. You can get in very quickly. You can differentiate yourself and be able to go to market with something that will excite your customers. And then the last point here is about passion. And passion is the 5th point, but it may be one of the most important points, because when you start in business, you're going to face a lot of challenges. I mean, things are going to be thrown at you. You're going to ride some very, very sickening lows. And if you're into something that you're not passionate about, it's going to be very, very tough to get up in the morning when things are really, really rough, when everything is falling apart, to get up and motivate yourself and go do it. And that's why passion is also a differentiator here. It's very important. So when you weigh all these ideas, what are you most excited about? And if everything being equal, if you have 2 ideas, and the difference is passion, you should choose the one that you're most passionate about, because you're going to need that passion. You're going to need that excitement, not only to motivate yourself to get up and go do it even when things are tough, but you're also going to need the passion to come through so that your customers can be infected by it. That infectious passion about the problem that you have, and you want to solve it, and you believe in your solution, and you think your solution is the best. That passion has to come through. And it also has to come through for investors to see. So when you're trying to get money or raise money from friends and family and institutional investors, that passion is also important, because people have to be infected by it. Because remember, people are investing in you. Most of the time, they're investing in the entrepreneur and not the business. You may have a social business that they're not really sure, but if they believe in your vision and they can see that you're passionate about it and you believe in what you're doing, people are more likely to take a chance on you so that you can prove them right. So this is pretty much what I wanted to cover today in this podcast. And by way of summary, my recommendation is that you prioritize your business idea. If you're just starting out, prioritize the ideas. If you have too many ideas and you're bogged down by it and you're pretty much frozen because you don't know what to do, this is a good framework. You're going to start with one idea and focus on that and be successful with it, because that alone is a huge challenge. So you don't want to burden yourself and be scattered in so many ideas that you don't do one thing very well. In the future, when you've actually gotten some entrepreneurial experience under your belt, you can juggle a couple of things at the same time, and that's fine. But when you're starting out, you should prioritize. And the points I've made is that there are 5 ways to judge the ideas and decide which one to go for. So you should make sure that you look at the customer base. You should make sure that you look at the market size. Is it worth it? You should look at the competition. Who is in the market? What's the barriers to entry? What will make you different? You should also look at, resources, costs. How soon can you get started with this thing? Do you have the money? Do you have the people that you can gather to be able to launch this very quickly? And then finally, which one are you most passionate about? And when all things being equal, if you have 2 ideas, the one with the passion or the one you have the most passion for is the one you should go for. So that's the end of today's podcast. Please subscribe to our channel for more upcoming videos. Thank you.